In case for some reason you've missed it, we dedicated this week to the series Red Dwarf. For Geek Corner Review, we looked at the first 2 episodes of the show. While we pointed out some of the flaws, such as dated effects that haven't aged well, there were a few scenes and even episodes that were done so well that they are examples of how things can and should be done. Today we're going to look at our pick for the top 5. I'm Ollamh, and welcome to 5 Count Friday.
You think you know me? You think you can catch me? You think you can trust me? Nobody knows the secret that I keep deep in my soul.
In the episode Body Swap, the characters of Lister and Rimmer put their brains in each other's bodies. This is something that has been done a few times in various different shows, but this shows the understanding and acting ability of the cast. In one scene, we see Lister in Rimmer's body playing Scrabble with the cat. The different voice coming out of the mouth is odd, but the acting really shows how well Chris Berry can switch from playing an uptight character to a downright slob. Later in the same scene, Rimmer, in Lister's body, comes in to show off, and this is where the episode really comes together. Seeing both actors playing as the other character is eerie because the actors really sell the idea. As we pointed out in our geek trivia of the show, these are the characters that the actors originally auditioned for. This episode gives us a glimpse into what the show would have been if they had gotten those roles. This is a simple little scene starting an episode we will discuss a bit later. The cat and Lister are sitting there watching TV and discussing Wilma Flintstone and if she is sexy or not. Clocking in at a mere minute, it shows a great example of 2 characters just being friends and having odd conversations. We've all had some more bizarre conversations with close friends, and it's really only close friends that you can have a conversation like that with. There's no action, only a couple different angles with 2 cuts, but it develops the characters and creates a connection that some stories fail to create in a full feature-length movie. It has quite a few laughs and shows off more of the subtle style of comedy, but also creates a connection with the audience as showing that they are relatable. They don't always have to fly around, fighting monsters or dealing with some crisis. They sometimes just sit down and have casual conversations. It's something that we can both relate to and makes the characters deeper and more realistic. It builds a connection between the 2 characters. They aren't just crewmates, they are actual friends who are comfortable having strange talks while sitting around late at night. This was one of, if not the, best episode in the original run of the show. This is the one that won the show an International Emmy Award. Starting off with a ship of rogue simulants hunting them down, the ship gets infected with a virus. Crichton infects himself in order to find a cure and tells the crew to watch his dreams. They hook him up to the AR machine and realize that he's failing to finish the cure. It's set in a western town, so they decide to go into his dream and help him out. They are each given a role and special ability, and from there it's all about being a western. The writing for this episode is so fantastic that many people who watch this forget the overall story. In fact, in the DVD commentary, the actors themselves got so sucked into the Western story that they forgot about the simulants, the virus, and the threat to the ship. While, again, it does keep the humor the show was so well known for at this point, it also shows a deeper ability of the show. It's very similar to some of the Star Trek The Next Generation episodes, where they spend almost all their time in the holodeck. It's a chance to do something more ambitious without sacrificing the Lost in Space motif of the season. This is the episode that starts off with the Flintstone talk that we discussed earlier. This was probably the most frustrating episode as far as both acting and editing. The idea is that they go through a time hole and wind up back on Earth, but an Earth that is backwards. Everything and everyone, other than the boys from the Dwarf, are doing things in reverse. They have a few fantastic scenes that show off the different time flow. One of the strangest has Rimmer and Crichton walking forward on a street crowded with people going backwards. The scene was actually shot with them walking backwards on a London street. The strangest part is that nobody looks twice at them. Two people dressed ridiculously and walking backwards don't faze anyone. Later, Crichton and Rimmer get fired from their job because of a fight that they don't remember. It's a long scene with their manager yelling at them, but backwards. The logistics of that with cuts interspliced so that the guys can talk normally, even afterwards, they cut carefully between forward and reverse footage. Then comes the fight itself. It starts off with a messy bar and ends up with a clean and neat bar. They cut back and forth between backwards footage and normal. The planning, scripting, shooting, and editing for the scene, and even the entire episode, it's so fantastic that it looks and blends very realistically. This is a short, rather simple scene that is done so well that people often don't realize what they're seeing. They just had an experience in a prison where any crime that you try to commit happens to you. Try to steal something and you lose something. At the end is the scene that we'll be discussing. Here, take a look at it for yourself.
Makes you think though, doesn't it? I mean, mankind's history's been one long search for justice. That's what all religions are about. I mean, they accept life as being basically unfair. They promise that everyone will get their just desserts later. Heaven, hell, karma, reincarnation, whatever. Those guys who built that penal colony, they tried to bring some order to the universe by creating the justice field. But when you live in an environment where justice does exist, you have no free will. That's why in our universe you can never have true natural justice, guy. Good things will happen to bad people and bad things will happen to good people. It's the way it's gotta be.
Now, with the dialogue and constant movement, it looks like they're just walking through the ship. The pacing is wonderful, the lighting is just right, and of course the line delivery by Lister keeps the audience attention and brings up points for them to think about. But, did you notice that they are, in fact, in a much shorter hallway? They walk down it, turn around, and then walk back up the same stretch of hallway. Let's watch it again together. They start walking down, keeping Lister in the center.
That's what all religions are about. I mean, they accept life as being basically unfair. They promise that everyone will get their just desserts later. Heaven, hell, karma, reincarnation, whatever. Those guys built.
Then they turn a corner, but turn 180 degrees right there. They also go sideways through a door and start walking back up. Here's a diagram of what the actual hallway set looks like. It's shaped like a P. Even with such a simple and limited set design, it fools the majority of viewers. It's proof that if you keep the walking pace constant and smooth, and overlay with an engaging, continuous dialogue, you can fool the audience into seeing something other than what is actually there. So there are our picks for the top 5 best moments or episodes of Red Dwarf. Whether it's a conversation that lasts only a single minute, or a full episode that shows how attention to detail can really make something incredible be believable, we can only hope that they continue such amazingness in the future episodes of the series. So what do you think about the list? Do you know of a scene or episode that you would have put on the list that didn't make it? Did you see an entry that was here that you weren't as impressed with? Leave a comment down below, send us a tweet, or a post on our Facebook page, and let us know what you thought. As always, thank you very much for watching. And stay tuned for more from Ollamh Productions.
If you wanna see some
Cheerio!
crazy and also lazy, then you should meet me and my friends. Even though we
But
got no
did you
money,
realize
sure as
just
hell
how many
funny,
Easter eggs there
everything's
are
better
in
with
just
them.
the
We're
first
just
2
like,
games?
ooh, ooh,
You can
we don't
find the
worry
TARDIS from
about
Doctor Who.
tomorrow, we just, ooh,
We can take out a security drone, but where did we drop it from? You should have been able to see our feet. You should have been able to see our feet.